some more countries are going to come up with these visas.
There are 49 countries already.
At this, the last count that I got was 66.
Wow.
That I think we had 2 months ago. That was the latest count. So they're all implementing them. I'm actually building a large piece of content specifically on trying to identify which ones are actually good versus them just kind of throwing up a sticker and saying, hey, we're a digital nomad visa. Like Bali, as an example, requires $100,000 in escrow to be able to get the digital nomad visa. Difficult to be able to actually get people to come, but you should reduce that to 10,000 and then you'll get a much larger influx of people. And if you run into trouble, you take that 10 grand, they fix you up in the hospital and they send you on your way.
But that's awesome. I mean, the government doesn't have to pay social security benefits and they still get to boost their economy. Like, I never thought of this way. I mean, that's brilliant.
Right.
I mean, most of the government would love this way. Yeah. So would love to know more about these companies that you mentioned, running remote, and you have been working with 3 companies in the past. Would love to know more about this.
Sure. So I think I actually specifically want to kind of address some of the stuff that we had in the book, because one of the things that happened during the pandemic is, I really call it emergency remote work. So people it was one day I was working in the office, the next day there's this scary virus outside and I have to work away from the office for months. We worked for almost a year. I remember India, and it got really tough. And I remember some of our Indian team members were quite scared during the second wave of COVID. And so everyone was in this hyper stressful environment, and we didn't really have time to take a breath and recognize, how should we actually manage remote workers? No one asked the question, do remote workers need to be managed differently from in-office ones? And I believe they do. And from the hundreds of companies that I've known before the pandemic that were working remotely, they do operate differently. And I believe they operate in a way that's actually very alien to on-premise in-office companies. And I call it in the book asynchronous management. So it's the ability to be able to manage people without directly interacting with them. I believe for the scheduling of this call, we interacted with a couple team members, Vaishali, who actually is in India, Aretha, who's in the Philippines, and I believe Lauren, who is in the United States.
Yes.
And I maybe meet with them once a quarter.
Yeah.
On Zoom. So the vast majority of our communication happens asynchronously. It happens through project management systems, email, instant messaging. And that's the way that most of these companies have operated for decades. We have in the book companies like GitLab that have 10,000 plus employees, and there's a multi-billion-dollar company. They work entirely that way. WordPress, which runs 30+% of the internet, they've been a completely asynchronous organization for decades. And these companies run seamlessly without actually anyone meeting face-to-face for a Zoom call or an in-person call, or that time is minimized pretty significantly to optimize what my friend Cal Newport calls deep work, which is the ability to be able to operate in a state of extreme focus and execute on a particular project or idea inside of the business. So asynchronous management provides you the framework to empower every single team member inside of your company to delve into deeper and deeper work and focus inside of your business.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because a big part of working remotely also is about the kind of team members that you are working with. At Wishup, we have realized that people who are inherently more organized and they believe in the processes and the documentation are more suitable for remote work than people who were a little disorganized in their lives. That we also found that in our clients. For example, there are people who come with a very operational mindset. They need everything on the to-do list and maintain asanas and everything. They turn out to be our good clients. They turn out to be successful clients for us.